No, thank you. Today we have Professor Lisa Brown here, and she comes to kick us off on this wonderful walk of fellowship and fun and support for breast cancer awareness. She's speaking to us and going to speak to us and share with us from her own personal experience, and particularly in terms of her experience with the generosity of organizations that have provided support and have made a profound impact on her life and the life of others who've had her experiences. Her journey has so inspired her that she has decided to give back to the community and give back to others who are walking where she walked. And so she's established a nonprofit entity dedicated to assisting cancer patients, survivors, and their families. So I want to welcome Professor Brown to come and have a few words, and I would like for all of us to give her a very warm LSC North Harris welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. So on August the 1st of 2024, I was diagnosed with stage 2 cancer, breast cancer, then ductal carcinoma, HER2 positive, and also progesterone positive, and I was told that I needed to have a mastectomy. I was told I needed chemotherapy and radiation. So during my journey, I read about cancer, how it started, where it came from, and I decided to do everything the holistic way and do chemotherapy. So on October the 15th, I had my first session of chemotherapy. I had 12 rounds of chemotherapy. I completed chemotherapy in February of 2025, and then the second thing I did was a lumpectomy in May, on May 12th of 2025, and then the third thing that I did was 31 days of radiation. I completed that on August 4th of this year. And so, as I was seeing the first medical provider told me that I needed to have a mastectomy because I might have cancer behind my breast wall. And I told her I didn't want to have surgery because I didn't want to have the breast removed. If someone is saying that I might have cancer behind the chest wall, and if I did, or if I didn't, would you be able to be replaced that breast? And so she said, no, but if you have a lumpectomy, it's just going to be like a piece of breast and it won't look right. So I got a second opinion at MD Anderson. MD Anderson said when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in August that my tumor is at that time. Chemotherapy. I had dorsirubin and Paxil. I had a lot of side effects from the Paxil. I was in the hospital for like 2 days, off and on in the wintertime. And so they took me off of Paxil, put me on Taxol. It had less side effects. And then that was at the end. And so I didn't have to worry about chemotherapy anymore, thank God. I had a lot of heart rate issues, and I had allergic reactions, like a lot of dark marks on my skin. And I still have some of the marks like on my neck now from the chemotherapy treatment. I began to use soursop, as you all may have heard. Soursop is good for treating cancer. And I also use turmeric, and I also use ginger because I have chemoneuropathy. So I have a lot of numbness and tingling. And I also take 400 milligrams a day of magnesium because I have joint pain. And sometimes it feels like I could collapse or I could just fall down. But what has helped me on my journey is to spread awareness to people and talk about what's going on with me. And, a lot of people, they speak bad about cancer. I never spoke bad about my cancer. I've always been positive. I've shared a lot of information on all of my social media platforms. And I also made sure during my whole cancer process that I kept my hair done, kept my nails done as long as I could. When my hair fell out, I started getting quickly. So this is the wig that I actually have in my hand right now. It's glued to my scalp. before I had quickies and, because my hair is not fully grown out still from the chemotherapy. But I wanted to make sure that, you know, I kept myself looking good because it makes me feel good. Because a lot of people who have cancer, they walk around, they put sweats on, they have their head down, you know, and then they don't want to express what's going on with them. But I've shared everything, like on social media, with people. I answer questions, I've motivated people, I've done some walks, and I've just been encouraging everyone. So this is how my journey began. I didn't start off with that. So in May of 2024, I had a mammogram. They said my mammogram showed no sign of cancer, but we having cancer in the following next year. So in June of 2024, I started having like pain in my breast because I worked part-time at FedEx at that time I was working as a cashier, handler, and I was lifting packages. And so a box had bounced back on my breast, and so I started having a little discomfort. And then I also, as I mentioned, I have a boutique. So I was doing some videos and I walked into the door. So I was like, oh, wait, that's the pain from the door that I'm having. And so I noticed in July, I started having tingling and numbness in my arm. And so I called the on-call doctor. They told me to go to the ER, and I went to the ER. They did a workup. My blood pressure was high, and my labs was good. So they said, we don't understand, you know, why your blood pressure is so high. It was 242 over 100. Wow. And I was like, well, I guess that's because I'm anxious about what's going on, and I don't know. And you all telling me I need to come. So anyway, they told me to see my gynecologist. When I saw the gynecologist, she said, Lisa, did you know one of your breasts is bigger than the other? And I told her, yes. But I thought that was normal. And so she said, it is normal, but in your situation, we never seen one breast bigger than the other. And I said, well, I just had a mammogram. So she said, well, we're gonna do a repeat of your mammogram, and we're gonna do an MRI, and we're also gonna do a biopsy just in case, you know. So I did all three of those things, and then I went back 2 weeks later. Now this is in August, and I went back 2 weeks later, and they called me in the office, and they said, you have stage 2 breast cancer. And it's in your one lymph node, and it's in your left breast, and we're going to start your treatment immediately. So that's how I found out that I had cancer, and I was on the phone with one of my cousins who had stage 1 breast cancer, and she was telling me, you know, why don't I talk to people about it, maybe that would help me. So that's what I did. I said I wasn't going to keep it quiet, I was going to share with everyone. So that's just what I've been doing. I started the nonprofit because a lot of people, when they're going through treatment, they don't ask questions to their healthcare providers. They just let the healthcare provider tell them what they need to do. And like I said, my first healthcare provider said I need to have a mastectomy. And I'm like, no, you know, I'm not going to have a mastectomy because you said it might be cancer behind my chest wall. I'm going to get a second opinion. And then you have these medical providers say this is what you need to do. And they're not used to people asking questions. So I asked a lot of questions, and I told them what I was going to do. And they listened to me, and they answered those questions. And they told me a lot of patients don't ask questions. So, you know, my thing is make sure that you ask questions. If you feel something, you know, get it checked out. Don't just assume that it's something. Because like I said, I had a mammogram in May, and here it is August, and I'm getting diagnosed with breast cancer. So I'm not going to be able to do the walk today, but if anyone has any more questions, it's really hot, so I couldn't really tell the story like I wanted to. But if you have any questions, you want to know anything about my personal experience, you can follow me on all social media platforms, or you can contact me at area code 510-355-4196. Or you can send me an email here with a Lone Star email. I teach Education 1300 Student Success, and I do have a nonprofit organization, and I'm supporting cancer patients and their survivors. I donate clothing, accessories, and I do monetary cash donations as well. And my daughter, she hand makes, and she also is a nail esthetician, nail tech, and everything. So she offers those services to cancer patients as well, if you know anyone that needs help. All right. And I have a digital card if anybody wants my digital card on my mobile phone. All right.